This video provides an overview of key concepts on how to be successful using cloud projects within Uinta software. Cloud projects in Uinta allow for one or multiple users to all collect data on the same project and access that same project from the field in the office. Here's how it works. So within Uinta software, in my project screen, I don't have any projects listed yet. Start by selecting the orange plus button, choose Cloud Enabled, and we're not going to log into a new project because it doesn't exist yet. Oftentimes, customers will create the project in the office, and these do need to be created when you have an internet connection because we're going to create this project on the Microsoft Azure cloud. So I'm going to choose Create Project. Let's give it a memorable project name, Juniper Test 10. And you have to give it an email. This is going to be the sort of admin email or the one that's related that will be needed for password recovery and those types of things. So Juniper Test 10 is a project name. Let's give it an email. And I'm going to give it a memorable password. Okay, so this password will be associated to this project name. It's a one-to-one relationship. So usually we're recommending that customers reuse the same password over and over again for each of their projects unless they have a concern with their own internal security. But for the next project, you also need to enter a password for that specific project. And so if you're having many projects, it's often recommended to just use the same exact password. So we'll go ahead and submit. And just like any project within Uinta, you still need to select a project template. So you may have a custom template that you've created. You can also choose from a previous project. So this Juniper Test 10 project would be done exactly like one that you select from your list. In our case, we're just going to use our sample basic template. You can choose a custom color or icon if you wish. Now, what's happening now is this project's getting created in the Microsoft Azure cloud. So often the case, I might create this project on my desktop. It's now ready to add data. It exists. We can start collecting field data if we wanted using this device. But in our case, this is created on my desktop computer. And I'm going to go back and see that I have Juniper Test 10. And notice that there's a cloud symbol next to the project name. This indicates that it is a cloud project. If you were to create a device-only project, it wouldn't have that cloud symbol. If I were to delete this project from my list, for example, by selecting the checkbox and pushing delete, I could log back into it because it's not actually deleted from the cloud, it's just deleted from this device. So it still exists in the Microsoft Azure cloud. If it gets deleted here, don't worry, you can always log back into it. But what we're going to demonstrate now is often the case someone will create a project on their Office PC, just like I've done now, and then I'm going to switch over to my Mesa rugged tablet that I have next to me. I'm going to log into this same cloud project so that the two devices are then going to be both allowed to collect data and add data and view data on the Juniper Test 10 project. Now, you see my Mesa 3, it doesn't have any projects as well. I've already connected to the GPS. I'm inside the building with a poor fix, but let's go ahead and add this same project to the Mesa 3. So I'm just, again, going to select the orange plus button, and I'm going to choose Cloud Enabled, and this device is also connected to the internet. And in this case, I'm not going to create a new project because it already exists. I am going to actually just log into the project. Juniper Test 10. You do need to respect the caps and spacing. It has to be exactly how you did previously. And I have to enter the same exact password. Let's double check that password. And let's go ahead and say submit. And now you see the Juniper Test 10 project getting added to my Mesa. And there's my Mesa screen. You see my GPS. I'm going to go ahead and add a point here by selecting the orange plus. I add a point. I'm using my location services, so a Wi-Fi GPS. So in that case, I do need to say update to get the lat long. But now I have point 1 added. I'm going to go ahead and save that. I've got that point added now. Now, the way cloud synchronization works is periodically, it's going to synchronize automatically. Notice that there's a red symbol here, and it just synchronized itself to the cloud. Now, if I wanted to validate that everything that I collected in the field got pushed to the cloud, I can always just choose that button and it's going to synchronize and push all of that data to the cloud. And so it's kind of a nice way to manually sync, but it does periodically sync on its own. It's every few minutes, it will synchronize to the cloud. But that point does now exist in the cloud. And so what I'm going to do is switch back over to my desktop. I have Juniper Test 10. If I look, there's no data here yet. If I were to go back out of the project and come back in, it would be there. But let's just go ahead and manually sync back to the cloud. And now you see that point that was field collected, but now the two devices are connected. They're both pushing data back and forth to the same cloud account. Anything that I do in my desktop will ultimately be reflected on my rugged tablet in the field and vice versa. Um, Other kind of key concepts to make sure to remember with cloud projects, we often do recommend over time that a nice way to sort of back up by file is you can export this as a project file and back that up in case there's some accidental things that happened or somebody deleted data that they didn't want to. It's still recommended that you can back things up as a file. Other kind of key things to note about cloud projects are, when you do get out in the field users are not allowed to go and modify the project template or structures. We usually recommend to first start those customizations and do your prototyping and testing on your project template using a device-only project. Once you have that project stabilized, you can then create a cloud project and base it on that device-only project. So there's some methods that are inside the software that allow you to sort of have some control over field users to make sure that they're not accidentally changing your project structure and template. Those users would need to log in order to be able to do that. The last thing I wanted to make sure that everyone remembers is that when you do create a cloud project, you do need an internet connection to create it or to log into it initially. But once you've logged into it, that first time, you won't be prompted for a password. You can go collect field data offline. You don't need to be connected to the internet. Once that project or device connects to the internet and you access that project again, you can then synchronize it to the cloud. If you have any questions, please contact us at Juniper Systems. We'd be happy to help and assist you. Thanks.